Next topic is PFAS. Catherine?
So, yeah, I mean, it's a big topic right now. We've been in touch with our regulators and with other agencies and other experts in the field, and a lot of communities are learning the same thing that we are. We were just a little earlier than other agencies, so we're not alone. And there's a lot of agencies with levels a lot higher than ours, but it's definitely a concern of the community, and I think it might be an opportunity for us, our two agencies, to maybe start to think about things that we can do together to reduce these levels if possible, you know. I mean, our responsibility isn't in the lake, our responsibility is the water we serve. But we obviously do have an interest in the watershed. I'm starting to look at maybe a watershed campaign, like kind of a marketing campaign to or even like, I don't know, somebody was talking about little signs near the creeks, or, you know, this, you know, they have like by the beach, it's close to the ocean.
Okay.
Just some awareness of, you know, how runoff ends up, it all ends up in Lake Arrowhead. So I don't know if you guys have had any thoughts or ideas about this topic.
Well, we're kind of in a similar situation as you, to some extent. The water isn't ours. We have the right to the recreational use of that water. And even to the point, if we go out and spend $100,000 and put fish in the lake, the moment they touch that water, they belong to the state of California. The state of California owns that water. So we have over 5,500 members that have some concern. So we want to cooperate.
Yeah.
But I think to some extent, our hands are somewhat tied. But it would be nice to, if nothing else, try to track it and find out where it's coming from.
Do we have any, I should have brought the book, the binder from last night. Do we have anything handy, or?
I can grab it. You want me to run back?
Have you
On my
seen
desk is my
our-
book, my binder?
Our testing results and maps?
Yeah, but once again, I've looked at it briefly, but it doesn't tell us much except where in the lake the contamination is. And it seems to be pretty general.
Yeah, so there are
Well-
two constituents that we're mostly concerned about, PFOA and PFOS. And the PFOA is the highest one, and that's the one that we're, you know, close to the limit on. And that one is only in the lake, pretty much. There's a little bit in the tributaries, but the tributaries are mostly PFOS. So it could be human activity in the lake. It's interesting because Papoose doesn't have as high a PFOA as Lake Arrowhead. So docks, sealants on docks, on boats, we had a lot of boats sink this last winter, didn't we? So all of that upholstery, the rugs, you know, the carpeting in the boats, all has
I
PFAS.
wonder how much is in the fiberglass in the boats themselves.
Some of the coatings on boats, there's a
You
couple
know, I
different
mean,
coatings, I guess.
I don't have any knowledge of that stuff. I'm just raising
Yeah.
questions.
I wonder if, also the shrink wrap, I kind of looked into that, the shrink wrap of boats, definitely has PFAS. But there are some options for PFAS-free shrink wrap, because there's a lot of boats with shrink wrap on them out there. So I don't know if ALA could start to think about, you know, making it a requirement that the shrink wrap is PFAS-free, or this deck stain, you know, certified.
Yeah. I think a lot of decks now, instead of being stained, I think they're going to Trex. But maybe that's an issue too.
It is.
I mean, you know, where does it come and where does it go? And
I mean, I personally think these are important suggestions and, I'd like to form some type of a task force to see where, what are the biggest possible sources on our lake. I think you guys all know we're doing testing of the fish. We just sent in our first samples this last week. And on a good note, we sent in a couple brown trout, which the reason that's significant is that we haven't stocked with brown trout for a couple years. And we can kind of tell by the condition of the fish, the type of parasites or lack of parasites, how long they've been in there. But these should at least give us a good baseline of fish that have been there for at least a couple of years. So we'll start to see that. But I do like the idea of, I've heard about the shrink wrap PFAS. I hadn't heard any specific levels on that. Do you have anything on that?
I don't know.
If you have any information specific about shrink wrap, I'd love to
Okay,
see that. But I think I know there's a lot of potential sources, but if we can at least see what the largest potential sources are on the lake, I'd love to share information with you guys on that,
Mhm.
see what we can come up with.
and we want to cooperate,
Yeah,
okay?
Oh,
We
yeah.
want to work with.
Well, we have to.
whoever. Yeah. I mean, it's a community-wide issue. It's not limited to any one.
But aren't your tests showing a little bit higher? I mean, I was at your meeting last night via Zoom and things, and I've been to the last couple and looked at your results and things, and they are close to Emerald Bay, some of the inlets that are coming in there.
yeah, so the Emerald Bay Inlet has higher levels than other tributaries. And we went upstream and in the Cedar Glen area seems to be where it's originating. But like Orchard Bay Creek is low, Fleming Creek low, Blue Jay Creek. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It could be an effect from septic. So we have a consultant that we're working with right now who's looking at the chemistry of the chemicals and hopefully they can give us a little more idea.
So is there potential they could ferret out? Like this might be more likely from a septic tank, or this might be more likely from something that's manufactured.
Yes, hopefully that is what they're thinking. They're able to really take the actual chemicals and identify if it's firefighting foam or if it's a consumer product or, yeah, so, we're working with them right now.
Wonderful.
When do you think you'll get the fish test result? Because they were interested to get that.
About 20 business days.
Okay,
So we should have it. I'm to be conservative, probably early May, first week of May is what we're looking at. I hope at the latest. So we just sent them in. But the weather prevented some of our fishing attempts, but we got what we needed. So those went in this past week.
okay, well, yeah, the consultant would love to see those results if you.
We happy.
Share it.
Absolutely.
The other thing they're interested in testing is the sediment itself. Because, the sediment can hold PFAS in it. And so maybe when we were dredging, it might have stirred them up or, where is the dredging being stored? Is it being stored, I mean, from prior, or is it gone now? Or-
No, it's currently up behind McKay Park.
Okay,
And now some of that, I think, does get used by other sources. People we have agreements where people can take some of that dirt for buildings and different things.
okay,
It's very sandy. It's not real suitable for a whole lot, but it's mostly up there.
Wouldn't it be good to know what it tests at, since people do occasionally take
I
it?
think if memory holds correct,
right,
that when we dredged, we were required to test the silt as it came out on a regular basis, like
Oh.
once a week or so. Maybe even more than that. Dave,
I wasn't aware
Dave
of
Kelly
that.
would know. He
Okay.
handled that.
I'll check with him on.
probably for PFAS?
I doubt it.
It might
Yeah.
not have been
Yeah.
PFAS because even though that was only a year ago, that was before it became a real issue.
You know, I'd be curious, do you have, so those dredging materials are from last year?
The last time we dredged was in Village Cove. And it was just prior to Snowmageddon.
Yeah.
In fact, they had to shut down because of Snowmageddon. So,
Do you have any other dredging materials from prior to that? It'd be interesting to test different time
I'm sure we
periods.
do, but I don't know that you'd know that you could differentiate. I think it
What-
goes on top of one another.
here's also the thing, that up till 2 years ago, we had a dredging policy that the lake had to get below 5,100
Mhm.
before we could dredge. And what was happening, it would drop down, we'd get all the permits in place, and it'd get above that. So we really hadn't dredged, and I'm gonna guess 6 or 7 years.
Is that dredging material? You say people can come and take it? Get permit to take some? Is it?
We're happy to get rid of it.
Yeah, we'd love to have
Has
it
it been
removed.
spread throughout McKay Park?
No,
Oh, yeah, that-
we rent from the county,
Yeah,
a parcel up there that we dispose of it there, but we're going to have to remove that.
yeah, and I did ask the dam committee, if they wanted that or any of it, because we're near the road, and they said it's not suitable for their purposes, so I doubt if they used it in the park there.
Hmm. Yeah, I think, we'll be interested to test it. And I wonder when it rains if well, we'll test it and find out. It might not have high levels.
Yeah. And it's so far away at this point from the lake.
But I'm wondering, is it
Yeah.
going into Papoose? But we don't know if it has high levels, low levels.
And we don't know where the drainage goes from that parcel either,
Yeah, it goes to Papoose.
does it?
Well, McKay Park does, so I'm just
On
assuming.
the other side, but yeah, that'd be
Do
interesting.
we have any idea what the life of, I say life, but, you know, is it had some level when it was put in the pile?
Mhm.
How many years or months does it sit there? Does it maintain that same constitution or? does it
Forever.
Yeah, I mean.
Forever, yeah.
but
It,
do we
it
know?
can, so there's like, some of them are longer chain chemicals and they can last 50 years, but they also can break down slowly.
Okay.
And then when they test, they show up as a different, on a different line item, a different PFAS chemical.
Really?
This one, PFHXA, is a breakdown of other PFAS. which is-
Can you then, using that idea, can you date how long something's been there?
I don't know.
Is it like carbon dating where
Yeah.
it breaks down over a consistent speed or time?
I don't know.
Hmm.
We could ask them.
But these spoils had to come from someplace to get to the lake that we had to remove. So the question is where?
Where did it
This
originate?
last dredge came out of Fleming Creek,
Okay.
okay? So we could go upstream from Fleming Creek and
Hmm.
look,
Have you tested Fleming Creek? Just out of
We
curiosity.
have, and it was low. Yeah.
Is our board packet still online
Mhm.
where they can access? I'd recommend maybe you go online and print out that.
I have, is that from yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have that.
you have it, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. And the prior.
Yes, I have last
yeah.
times too.
So I think, because that information is very valuable.
It is helpful.
Well, it's valuable and helpful, but then it's ambiguous.
I know.
I mean,
It's a
it
starting
is what it
place.
is, yeah,
It's a
it's
starting
something to
place.
look at.
That's like our
But
fish
it's
testing's a
very
starting
hard to draw conclusions.
Right.
From, at this point,
Right.
from our perspective, it's very hard to draw conclusions.
Well, even with the fish, I mean, you'd need to tag fish and release them clean, knowing that they don't have PFAS. And catch them a year or two later,
Yeah.
the same fish, and then you'd have a better
Yeah.
data point, but this tells us something, right? It tells us. We're
It
starting
tells you
somewhere.
something.
We're starting somewhere, yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion topics on PFAS? From the district perspective or plans, you heard to me, we're hopeful, we expect to have our engineering consultant present us with plans for construction of PFAS removal equipment for our system.
Mhm.
Now, but that's not gonna be for the lake.
I would make
I mean,
a much bigger process to clean a lake.
It definitely would be, and I don't know, and so I don't know, I mean, we intend to do whatever is available and to the maximum extent to clean our water from PFAS, okay? Whatever it takes. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be possible to do it 100%, but we're gonna do whatever percentage we can, we're gonna
Gotcha.
do.
But
But I.
that's the deliverable product.
That's what we have jurisdiction over, okay, and control over and really responsibility over, is when it gets in our intake pipe and goes to the tap. What goes into the lake? We can't really do anything about, and I don't think you can.
We
either.
can't either. That's the funny thing, you know,
So,
if the county puts in the systems that, that direct the water. And, yes, some of it comes from the streams, which we're all looking to think it's a great idea, but a lot of it is runoff, you know?
so I don't know, whether, we as a community, ALA as an organization, or any government entity is ever gonna be able to stop PFAS from coming into Lake Arrowhead or any other body of water. And it may be something that, and I feel pretty good, I feel confident, okay, that our district can be able to definitely get the PFAS level down to, someplace where it's gonna be considered when a safe level is established, we're gonna be below that, okay?
Yeah.
But I don't know what anybody can do about Lake Arrowhead. But if the drinking water we take from Lake Arrowhead is safe, well, then we've accomplished something. And PFAS is not transmitted through skin contact. We
That's what
don't
the
believe,
EPA says.
yeah, that's what the EPA is, and of course, they have to be right. The government's never wrong, okay? So swimming, boating in Lake Arrowhead should be safe, okay?
But I'm not ready to concede,
Yeah.
defeat two on, I'm hoping we can find
Okay. Well, perhaps,
more major sources at least,
okay,
and then we can at least work
okay,
toward putting, just like they're trying to remove from the drinking water, I'd like to see if we can cut back on what's going in somehow.
going-
But
okay,
I don't think we have enough information yet, but
okay,
I'm not giving up yet.
Alrighty. okay, so, any other comments? Questions from anybody?
Any time frame on, when equipment would be available, when it would be up and operational for the lake?
Well, for our water system.
For drinking.
Well, it's for the lake,
Well-
where you get all your water, is it?
Yeah.
Or do you get it from another source?
Well, yeah, we do from wells
Okay,
and some from Quawa, okay? But the treatment is gonna be from the intake valve to our
Right,
system. So when you say the lake, I wanna make.
the lake's water as you take it out.
We're getting, yeah, as we obtain the water from the lake.
Right.
And we're gonna find out more, hopefully, on the next meeting.
Yes, we'll have a construction schedule. I'm
Okay.
thinking, the
Okay.
Cedar Glen Water Treatment Plant, we should have online, we should start maybe in the fall, maybe, so
Okay.
2025 sometime.
Mhm.
I'm hoping before summer of 2025. Hopefully.
Okay.
And what-
There's a lot of red tape too,
Yeah,
because
well, I bet.
we're applying for grant funding and the state, it looks like we have a very good chance of getting 100% of the cost covered,
Wow.
which isn't gonna happen for everyone, but we have a good chance at it. So but it's competitive, so I'm trying to get that, but because of that, I have to follow a lot of federal, to get its federal money, so I have to follow, all of these infrastructure acts and Build America and So it might take a little longer because of that extra CEQA.
And then for our Bernina plant, we're gonna have to build a new building because the facilities, the equipment is so large, our existing building doesn't.
Wow.
So Bernina will probably be 2026, but the good news is if we can get Cedar Glen online, which is 100% lake water, then we can lower but right now Bernina is under the limit because it blends, so.
And do you have a time frame on, you said you're bringing in an expert to do a deeper dive on some of the analysis?
Yes, I have a call with them next week to go over their initial findings.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
super.
Did we have a question or comment?
Garen's got his hand up. We have two online.
Okay, is Garin number one?
Yes. And
All right,
can you hear us, Garen?
Yes, I can.
okay, go ahead, Garin.
I'd like to remind LACSD and ALA that Lake Arrowhead is 48,000 acre feet of water. To get that volume of water to the concentrations of PFAS that are in the lake, these items that, LACSD listed, shrink wrap, boat wax, sunscreen, carpeting, you would have to bring in 55-gallon drums of sunscreen, thousands and thousands, to be able to contaminate 48,000 acre feet of water. I would suggest that LACSD focus on their sewer lines, and I would highly recommend that ALA inquire with LACSD. The main sewer line that surrounds the lake, LACSD has started servicing that in the past couple years. The last section that needs to be completed, it's Blue Jay Bay, Meadow Bay. That still has the old line. When sewer lines are replaced, something triggers that replacement. They don't just randomly decide to replace sewer lines. They do
Garin,
camera.
that's not accurate.
Well, can I finish and then you can correct me?
Sure. If you'd like that.
Camera inspection video work occurs on these sewer lines. I would ask ALA to inquire and obtain the sewer inspection video of the sewer lines that surround the lake prior to the repair work being done. And that may tell ALA if the sewer lines were bad or good. That would be my suggestion to ALA.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. We're not doing random slip lines of our sewer or wastewater. It's a methodical so that all of them will be done. So it's not random, but thank you for your comment, Garin.
Okay, we have Terry O'Brien.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, or can you hear me okay?
Great.
I have a couple questions. One, you mentioned that you were going to take measures to clean the water. When will that start? Two, what is the cost, and is that cost going to be passed on to the homeowners?
Catherine?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we are hoping to break ground in the fall of this year, if we can, and have that first treatment plant online in 2025. And we have applied for grant funding, and the state has informed us we have a pretty good chance of getting most of that cost covered by federal funding.
Okay. My next question, and I could be wrong on this, just bear with me. Weren't the lake, didn't they spray weeds in the lake a couple years ago or a year or so ago? Was that ever tested for PFAS? They, as I recall, they sprayed the lake to get rid of the lake weeds.
We did, it was before my time, but we did water treatment, weed treatment. It's quite a permit process to go through that. I will double check, but I don't think that has any PFAS.
I don't know. I'm just asking. I have no clue, but that was just something that I would like to know.
The chemical we used had to be approved by the state of California. That
Yeah,
doesn't mean
that is.
it doesn't have PFAS in it.
I know.
But, you know
You know what?
we did not check
Yeah.
the chemical independently for PFAS.
Sherri, I've never been asked that, and I'll check on that.
Okay, and then my last is more of a comment. What is this going to do as far as real estate value? I know you guys don't know that, but all realtors have to disclose everything and now that this is published, when they go to sell a house, they're going to have to say, yeah, we're drinking contaminated water or our lake is contaminated. What? And I know you guys don't have a crystal ball and know, but that's something that could damage our property values up there. That's more of a statement than a question. Just, I mean, think about that. I mean, that's the nature of the beast with realtors. They have to disclose everything and anything now. And now that this is published,
Yeah.
so that's all I got. Thank you. And I
Sherri,
appreciate the time.
not a problem. We're here. Anybody else with a comment, Marissa?
Garin has his hand up again.
Okay, Garin.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, Garin.
Yeah, I got cut off. You reaffirmed my statement where your sewer lines are not randomly replaced. An inspection occurs that dictates replacement. And video inspection footage is held by LACSD. And I would recommend ALA take a look at that video footage inspection and see for themselves if the sewer lines that were surrounding the lake were bad and what triggered the replacement to occur. You don't just randomly replace sewer lines like Mr. Worm just said.
Yeah, thank you for agreeing with that. Anything else, Garin?
No, you're welcome. That's it.
All righty. Anybody else have a question or comment?
Carole Anderson.
Okay.
Go ahead, Carole.
Yeah, I have, this may be silly, but I'm not sure. You're talking about the lake water, and actually I'm more concerned about the water that's coming out of my tap. And that's actually what comes from the LACSD. So what are you doing to protect me and my family from the water that's coming out of the tap?
Well, I can answer and Catherine can supplement or correct as needed. It's a good question, and there's been a lot of people asking the same question. We have retained an engineer who is going to bring forth plans for treatment of the water to eliminate as much as possible all PFAS, which I fully expect will be the end result will be below whatever safety standard is going to be established, which currently doesn't exist. The engineer is going to report at our next meeting, so I'd encourage you to attend either in person or remotely. And as Catherine said, we're hoping to have the Cedar Glen plant online and completed in perhaps as early as September 2025. And then Bernina, which is a larger plant, will be perhaps a few months later, maybe 6 months later. And that will hope when those are completed, we fully expect to be in compliance with whatever standards are in effect at that time.
And we are currently in compliance with the
Yes.
standards. With Cedar Glen off, we are compliant with California regulation.
Did that help?
No. Not
Okay.
really. I think probably what I'd like to see, and I think probably a whole lot of other people that are owners up there would like to see is maybe some research on what it would cost LACSD to provide each one of the households that you service with the type of filtering system that will protect us from the PFAS that you have not been able to get a handle on as of yet.
Well, we don't have any plans to go to the 8,000 to 10,000 homes and install water filtration systems.
Well,
But
then at
If you want to, you can.
no, then at the very least, I would ask for you to see what that widespread amount would be, because it would certainly be cheaper for somebody like you to purchase those filtering systems and then give people the option to purchase them rather than having them go out and try to buy them by themselves. So all I'm asking you to do is maybe do a little bit of research on such a thing for the families that might need this.
Well, I'll let Catherine consider it, but I'm not sure that we're in the business, LAC, we're in the business of delivering water from the lake through the pipelines to homes and businesses. We're not in the business of providing individual equipment to every home. But I think Catherine,
I can look into it.
she's gonna look into it.
But I mean, again, we are currently in compliance with the regulation.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
When you remove the PFAS, my understanding, it doesn't go away. What do you do with it? And what would the homeowner do with it? Yeah, they put a filtration system in.
Yes, so, I just want to make sure Carol Ann is.
Okay,
right.
sure. Do you have another question or further question or comment, Carolyn?
I had already muted her. Let's see.
Does-
Caroline?
Yeah.
Oh, Carol, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. So you're in compliance, but yet there's still water that's coming out of my tap that has harmful chemicals in it. And that is a concern to me, and I'm pretty sure it's a concern to the majority of my neighbors as well. And like I said, I understand that the lake, you're trying to do what you can to help the lake, but the water that's coming out of the tap is coming from you. So that's my concern. If it's still got contaminants in it, even if you're in compliance, it's still got contaminants in it, and that's a concern. And as I said, it would seem to me that if you had the resources, and I'm not even talking about the monetary resources, the resources to look up and how much it would cost you to widespread purchase these things and allow the customers to buy them from you is what I'm saying. It's more expensive for me to buy one than it would be for you to buy, I don't know, 10,000 of them, and it would be a heck of a lot cheaper than it is for each family member to buy them. I'm still concerned. And you're talking about a year from now that something is going to be up and running. That's a long time for contaminated water to be coming out of my tap. You know, and honestly, I just want you to understand that I only own my home up there for 3 years now, right? I love it up there, but I'm starting to wonder, why did I buy there and not Big Bear?
I don't know. Does Big Bear have any PFAS in their lake?
They haven't tested their lake because it's not
So-
used for drinking water.
Okay. All right.
That's all. I'm good.
Okay.
I'll
Thank
see you at
you.
the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. We'll be looking forward to it. Any other questions or?
I'm sorry, I cut you off, Jimmy.
No, that's okay.
But what they do with the PFAS that's removed
PFAS.
from the
Yes,
filters.
so for us, what we're looking at is ion exchange. It's a resin that that attracts it.
Right.
And so it's held in there, and so then we have to have the media replaced every so often. It's expensive to do.
I bet.
It's gonna be, I mean, they're thinking it maybe $150,000 a year.
So what do they do with the resin that's
So
throwing all that out?
they have, it goes to a
And they
special
destroy it,
facility that, they incinerate it.
Ah,
Mhm.
Interesting.
So if somebody put a system in their house, then the question is, who regulates the filters in them and where they go?
Well, I guess we would pick it up, right?
So that's,
Well, we would be going to each house.
Yeah.
Once a month or.
And there's a cost there that would.
Yeah.
You know,
And,
but,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
but otherwise, you know, you have a system, you don't know that they're just not throwing them in the trash.
Maybe.
The landfills are having
Yeah,
a
so-
big problem.
There is more of a problem than just putting a system in somebody's house.
Catherine, you mentioned Big Bear does not draw water from the lake for drinking water, which I knew, but I had forgotten. Big Bear gets their drinking water from wells, I believe.
Yes,
Do we know if they're testing their wells?
they are testing now. I
Okay.
know one of the wells has tested positive.
Okay. So I guess, I appreciate Carol's concern. We got a lot, she's not the only concerned person I've talked to in the past few months. But and we've just talked here, PFAS is everywhere, okay? It's in, you have and I think Robert Morris was going on about it. You wash your dishes, your frying pan, it's got PFAS in it. I mean, your sweaters. Yeah, so I don't know how you're ever gonna live a PFAS-free life. Maybe it's possible, but I don't know. No. Any other questions or comments from anybody? Sir?
Yeah, last night, there was a question that the board was unable to answer for the staff or Kaplan. And it concerned some of us today. The question was, it was stated so-called in some article that, PFAS chemicals in Lake Arrowhead are consistently spread across the lake. It wasn't in an article, we found it, it was in social media. So that's debunked. We needed to know that. So we need to stay on top of the website where we can hear it from the horse's mouth, LACSD. That's all.
Thank you for that comment. And I should say, for the benefit of folks who weren't here or zooming in last night, on our website, on the LACSD website, we have a special PFAS section, which has has our information, how valuable it is, how informative, I guess you can look at it one way or the other, but it has the up-to-date information, and that is the best source of information regarding PFAS in Lake Arrowhead.
So you were talking about septic tanks from Cedar Glen. And so in sewage that goes through the sewer lines, so there's PFAS, I guess that's a source.
Yeah.
The septic tanks, the sewer lines. Now, I remember it was last year or 2 years ago in Emerald Bay, and we're very,
I swim there every day.
every day he swims there.
He's only 32 years old too, which is a problem.
And I drink that water sometimes when I'm in the lake. So the thing is, I remember walking around the trail and there was a sewage spill. And there was no mention of it. And in fact, if I hadn't walked and saw the yellow tape and seen a little sign, I wouldn't have known. So that obviously was repaired, correct? That sewage thing. So how much more sewers do you have to go to complete before there? Because, there's been talk that it's leakage from some sewer lines, it's runoff from the golf course, coming from, well, that could be because I have a friend who owns a big landscape company who they take care of big golf courses, and there's always, no matter what they say or do, there's always chemicals that run off. So I'm not saying they use any illegal substances, but
the
whatever.
water runoff from the golf course is a very small amount that could even get to Lake Arrowhead. It doesn't, the hydrology, there's a mountain range in between the two watersheds.
I don't know anything about that, but what I do want to know is, so how many more feet or yards or whatever of our sewer
Yes,
miles of
no, I mean, honestly,
need to be
we
done?
are very diligent about maintaining our sewers, and we would be glad to show the video of the sewer before it slip lines, but we are systematically, and it's been over probably 15 years that we've been slip lining the entire lake main that is surrounding the lake.
So are you finished?
It's
I
almost
think
done.
Scott is here. You
Yeah.
have like one more section to do?
UJB.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And then once that's done, all of the wastewater lines will have been slip lined within,
Around the lake.
around the lake. And Scott, perhaps, can you explain what slip lining is?
So slip lining is a impregnated material that gets inverted through the pipe with pressure, and then it gets steamed to cure. And it's just a whole new pipe within the pipe. And we're doing it due to sewer age, not that it's leaking, not that it's cracked, it's just to make it last longer. And it's more feasible to approach it that way than it is to dig it up and replace it brand new.
So once you do it, so now I'm sure it takes time to go around all the miles. And then do you have a calendar where you inspect everything, like on a timely basis, like?
Every day, and they
Every
have a
day? Oh,
schedule.
good.
And so, on our website, it shows how many miles. I mean, we see every part of our sewer system at least, I'd have to look at how long it is, but, but we're constantly CCTVing and cleaning the sewer. And, it's, we just don't.
And also.
What's the ETA for the Blue Jay section? To do that?
It's currently being looked at by our field crews. They're gonna get us the information. We usually like to do it in the spring after summer, because sometimes stocks need to be moved. We know about that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah,
This is gonna
and
be tricky,
Hmm.
because there's no trail.
yeah,
That's
there's
hard.
no trail, so,
Gotcha.
but I mean, and due to the access, we need to barge in
Yep.
equipment to do it.
We're
But,
getting a new barge, so a refurbished barge soon, so.
oh, good.
Okay.
So my last thing is, in Cedar Glen, I know, because I've used them, there are several wrought iron fabricating companies. I don't know if they, you know, who knows
Yeah, no.
where the water goes, or there's some other, I think industrial kind of things around certain areas, and even up in, like not Rim Forest, Running Springs, whatever, that I know people complain that it comes down Cuffle. I don't know what creek that would feed into the lake.
That's Fleming Creek, I
Skyports.
think.
Skyport. So maybe if there's businesses that have things that are contaminants, maybe you
But
can
said Fleming
sort of
Creek
check that out.
Fleming.
Right, Fleming, but, Emerald Bay.
Yeah, detect all the way through.
Emerald Bay seems to be the. Sorry, Henry. The most polluted. You're gonna have to go swim the other way.
But yeah, we
We'll have to
do.
move. Big Bear. Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then one thing I would like to interject as well is our wastewater disposal system is heavily regulated by LAHAN. I mean, and I'm, you know, and I've said it before, but if you go back 15 or 20 years, LACSD was not doing a very good job at maintaining our wastewater, and we were in trouble with LAHAN. And they came down pretty hard on us, and that was when I first came on the board. And I'm not taking credit for it, okay? But after LAHAN came down on us, we got the message, okay? And we started our slip lining. We we've upgraded our wastewater treatment plant. And so we spent a lot of time and a lot of money, and we're very diligent about making sure that our wastewater treatment is what it should be. And right now, LAHAN is very happy with us. And there are other districts they're not happy with.
And
Okay.
by the way, Lahontan is the one who approved the
Yeah.
herbicide
Mhm.
to get rid of the weeds.
That's right.
Because I think there's lots of bacteria and stuff in those weeds that I don't know which is worse, the herbicide or whatever, or the.
The
The bacteria.
Lahontan is also the one that we sent the test samples to.
Oh, really, the fish?
No,
No.
with regards to the
Oh.
dredging,
Oh,
I'm pretty sure,
okay,
because
Yeah,
they were up on a
that's-
regular basis.
I'm sure, yes.
Well, they're very active about
Very
testing.
diligent, yeah.
And if you are on their bad side, they let you know, they have a lot of power. So we've tried very hard and we've been successful at staying on their right side.
Yeah, we had a few complaints from people around the lake. And so they were up on a regular basis
Yeah.
and found no issues with the dredging spoils.
Okay, good.
Good. Anybody else?
Yes, we have Sherri online.
Okay, Sherri,
Hi, can you hear me?
yes.
Sorry, hang on just a second. There we go. So I live down the hill most of the time, but my family has had our cabin, which is a true cabin, since 1951. So I know the mountain very well. And my husband and I and our kids lived up there for a year. And our kids were in schools there and we taught there. Anyway, so I know the community. I would like to agree with Carol. I don't know if her name was Carol or Carolyn or Caroline, but she was talking about how scary it was, and she suggested that LACSD provide filters for people. I'm sure that's an extremely expensive venture. However, I was at the meeting last night also, and one of the comments that really struck me last night was since I'm not part of the political scene or whatever up there, I don't know your names, I apologize, but the middleman on the board, I guess it was, made a
That's
comment.
probably me.
It wasn't Mr. Worm, it was the next person, the person to your immediate right.
Oh,
Anyway,
Okay.
it doesn't matter who it was, that's not of importance at all, but what he said, well, I've already put in a filter, so I'm sure my family's going to be fine, or I'm taking this seriously. I mean, his intent was to say that you were taking it seriously, but it did occur to me that putting in a filter system could be an expensive venture for lots of people.
Sure.
And so I think it would, I'm not saying I'm totally agreeing with Caroline, because I'm sure it would be financially probably impossible. But the fact that one of your members put in a filter system makes it pretty obvious to me, who my family was already very nervous about this. This is a nervous-making, serious event. And some of the people who have spoken from the board keep making comparisons with, well, we're not as bad as this, or we're not as bad as that, or we're surrounded by PFAS. Okay, that may be the case, but that's not an excuse. Comparisons don't make it any better. We need to do everything we can, and I say we because hopefully all of us can be part of the solution, but everything we can to try to solve the problem and not just say, well, it's bad everywhere, what can we do? No. It's kind of like saying, well, I don't have as much nuclear contamination as the next city. It's a non-viable suggestion. So I would like to thank all of you for all the work you do. I know it takes hours and hours and hours, but also suggest that it's a really serious subject. And for me, it's not funny at all when people laugh at it or make light of it, because it's serious. Thank you very much.
Well, Sherri, I can assure you that nobody at LACSD, and I know at ALA, is making light at it or laughing at it. This PFAS situation it's a worldwide problem, and we are doing everything we can to make sure that that this issue is being addressed. And I think Catherine will confirm this, is LACSD is doing more testing faster than many other water providers. So you're hearing it from us first because we're doing the testing. If other water providers haven't done the testing or as much testing as us, then you're not going to get the information about the level of PFAS in their lake or in their water. The levels in Lake Arrowhead and in our drinking water system are under the report,
the California response level.
the California response level. So we have, as soon as this became known as a serious issue that had to be addressed, we hired an engineer who's been working on the design for our equipment to treat our water to make sure that at whatever level is established, we're going to be below that. the engineer is gonna be reporting next meeting at our LACSD meeting in April. We're hoping that the work can start on our facilities, at least at Cedar Glen, in September, to be finished perhaps in maybe 6 months, okay? Our other plant, Bernina, is gonna take longer, in part because we have to build a separate building to house the equipment. So I can tell you, LACSD is not gonna be the last water provider to get this equipment. We're gonna be one of the first. So I hope that addresses your concern. We are concerned too. It's not a laughing matter. But I'm gonna tell you, I have to be honest. Nobody can just flip a switch and say PFAS is gone. It is not possible to do that. All we can do is retain engineers, get the plans done, and start the construction, and we're doing that as quickly as we can. Were you satisfied with that, Sherri, or do you have?
Well, I'd just like to point out that once again, you were making the comparisons. We're doing it as fast as anybody else or so on. And also the laugh was there. So maybe it's a nervous laugh, but it's kind of, it makes me feel like it's not being taken seriously. So thank you very much.
I'm sorry you feel that way, but that's not the case.
Stop laughing.
Okay, no more laughing. All right, anybody else?
We have, I believe it's Edie.
Okay,
Hi, yes, my name's Edie. I am a resident up there. I have a couple of concerns. I wanted to know if anybody has tested the rainwater. I know we've had, record amounts of snowmageddon and rainfall, and I'm just kind of wondering, I check on my phone sometimes and I was noticing there's been like spikes in pollution and air quality issues. I know that Amazon Fulfillment Center is down in San Bernardino, and I think, there's environmentally, since it doesn't seem like you guys actually know the true source, whether it's the sewer lines, which need to be looked at, whether it's, some other contaminant coming in. I know it's going to rain this weekend. Can we test the rainwater as well, and just to get a level on if anything's coming in that way?
Yes, so there are confirmed scientific studies that show, especially PFOA is environmentally transported and is found in rainwater. So we did test our rainwater we came up with a whole PFAS-free collection system, and unfortunately the lab results were inconclusive, so we're waiting for them to re-look at those. So
can we collect rain this weekend? We're supposed to get more. It's like nonstop.
That's for sure.
Like we're testing fish. Can't we just go all out and figure out what the source is, and then start making some, there's reef safe stuff in different areas of the world. We have to be conscious, and then, it's unfortunate that it's so expensive to get a water filtration system, but it sounds like it's a prudent thing to do if you want to take showers up there and drink water.
Yes, we are, we can test obviously one sample is not enough information, so we will continue testing rainwater, but you're right, it does transport in air pollution as well.
Thank you.
thank you, Edie. Anybody else?
We have Ted.
Mr. Heyck?
Yes.
Okay, Ted, you're up.
Mr. Worm, thank you. I know that what you are doing is valiantly attempting to answer all these multitude of questions as honestly as you can. A lot of these answers seem to be better given by some of perhaps your staff there. For instance, you say that you are compliant with the response level communication. The truth of the matter is the response level was merely an order that you report to the public within a certain period of time that were over the levels of PFAS, which you didn't do. It wasn't until we sent out emails and got everybody very embarrassed that you put it on your website. And at that moment, when you put it on your website, you were response compliant. Now, I don't want to be accused of misleading anybody. I would just invite your general manager, your experts to speak to that. But what concerns me is that you mentioned something about having problems with the Haunton at the time that you came on the board. And that's true. In 2013, there was a cease and desist order ordering the lake to get its act together, ordering LACSD regarding a sewer system that was dumping, in some instances, raw sewage in various spots, among which running down into the lake. And hearings were held, and you were put under an order in 2013 to correct, repair, or otherwise rehabilitate 200 miles of 100-year-old pipe. And you did start the project, but at the last time I heard, and perhaps the gentleman that's talking about slip lining can give us some figures, the last time I'd heard of the 200 miles, since 2022, they had done 3/4 of a mile with slip lining. And I believe only a few miles, 2 or 3 miles regarding repair of pipe, which is even more expensive. So maybe he could tell us, and the order says that you begin compliance by 2025. The last I heard of the 200 miles, you were about 190 miles short. But could the gentleman that spoke to the repair of the pipe please tell us if you will be compliant by 2025 in the repair of that pipe? And if not, how long he's predicting it will take? I don't want to put you on the spot, Mr. Worm. I've been on that board, and I know that that's not a good question to ask a civilian board member. But the gentleman who came forward a moment ago should know the answer, and I wonder if he would give it.
Well, I would have to go back and look at record to see exactly how much has been done.
There's a report of
Yeah,
expenditures
we
on our
do have a
website,
report.
and it shows how many miles we've slip lined. Linear feet actually is 29,000. And we've replaced 14,500 of pipe. So
There's 29,000, I don't know, what is the total footage you said you've done? 2,900 has been replaced,
29,468 linear feet
has been replaced.
has been slip
So
lined.
that's about 4 miles.
14,510 replaced.
Well, 14,000 feet, I can tell you, is 3 miles, isn't it?
So
And 29 is 4 or 5. So I'm trying to do this off the top. It's 12 miles of 200. You have the figures, I don't.
yeah. You can look on our website.
I've looked on your website, it's not there.
Well, Ted, you said there was 200 miles of wastewater pipe that was
Correct.
ordered to replace? I'm not
It's
sure.
ordered,
But
not ordered to be replaced. It's ordered to be inspected and corrected so that it is not leaking. It'd be prohibitively expensive for you to replace it. And therefore the gentleman is slip lining it, which is a valid way to do it. But the question is, how much has been done of either?
I don't have those numbers, and like you said, I'm a civilian, but I can tell you that Lahontan is satisfied with what we're doing. So, whether it's, 29,000 feet and 14,000 feet or 200 miles, I can't answer that specifically, but I can tell you that Lahontan is satisfied with what they're doing, and that's a great improvement from when I first came on the board.
No, it is a great improvement since you came on the board. There's no doubt about that.
I'm not taking credit for it, Ted, okay? But I should say it has improved since I came on the board due to the efforts of the staff,
I wonder if I could ask one more question.
okay?
As part of this inspection program.
Okay.
is-
And we are
Right.
kind of out of the interface
Yeah.
meeting,
Yeah,
subject, so just one more question, Ted, okay?
Okay, one more question. Sorry. As part of the inspection program, you all, I believe, videotaped all or part of the 200 miles, and I'm wondering if that videotape still exists.
I'm sure we have some CCTV. Um,
All right, thank you, Ted.
And Garin has his hand up.
I think he's exceeded his 5 minutes.
Well, okay, Garin, what is the question about? Because we want to keep it within the interface committee.
Yeah, just 20 seconds. I just want to make a correction. Mr. Michael Schultz, I don't know if he's still in the room or not. He's a firm believer in accuracy. So he said that we made up a story of the lake being.
No, yeah, that's not within our jurisdiction. You can contact him about it if you disagree with him, okay?
I don't disagree with him. It's your statement. You made a statement in your agenda packet from last night. You wrote the concentrations of PFAS chemicals in Lake Arrowhead are consistent across the lake on page 25. I didn't make that statement up. I just repeated what you guys wrote. The concentrations in the lake are consistently equal across the lake. I didn't make that up. That's on page 25. Second.
Thank you, Garin. All right, anybody else?
No.
Okay, all right, future agenda topics.